Okay. What is this one? Yeah, I can see. Why is it? Oh. There we go. So everything's coming up. Okay. So let's have a look at this. So create the classes, job, and education. I assume most of you.
Are you recording?
I am. Yes. Let me just double check. Yes. So create the job, classes, job, and education. Has these 5 properties. I'm just going to copy it in so I don't have to switch all the time. Copy it here. Just do here, exercise. Okay. So most of you got this one, I assume. So class, job. And how do we add these properties? Constructor. And we need all of these. Don't want to write them all, so we just copy them. That. And then we store them, right? Store ID, title, description. And what does this mean? Someone tell me? I forgot.
This means it should be available for the entire class and the methods inside the class.
Yes. Yes, but it would, well, it's no, it will look weird. If you do something like this, and then you can do something like arcs map arc. I'm not gonna do this, right? See, it looks a little, yeah. But no, let's just pretend that this is the way to do it. And and the answer will also be no, because it's difficult. When the next person comes to read it, it's like, if you write it like that, the way I wrote it, no one has any idea what it means, right? So sometimes it's better just to be.
It should be school instead of description and start date address.
Address. Okay, so this is the first part of the exercise. I assume most of you got this one. Hope so, at least. Please say so if you didn't. Okay, so we create these 2 objects that just store the variables that we give. Let's look at the next one. So we create the CV class. Always use capital letters. Sorry?
Copy, it's already given.
It's already given. Yes. Okay. And then we instantiate that, right? My CV. Remember these? So you give these weird empty variables, right? And then an email. My email. That's the case. So 2 empty arrays, which is very strange. We'll talk about a little bit that in the end, how it should look. What we talked about. Okay. So we want to store these. We pass in these 2 variables. Let me just save them and just make it a little more readable. Jobs, array, const education, array. Okay, education. Okay. And then we want to save these in the instance. If we don't save them and they're called in the constructor, the variables will just disappear. We have no way of referencing them, so we store them in this instance. We store them in the instance of the CV that we create. So we use this jobs, just store them here, just like we did with the other ones. Application, email. Right? Okay. So now we want to add a job. Let's just do one here that's called my job, and we do new job. Remember them? ID, title, description, start date. My title, my description, start date, end date. Right? Create an instance of the jobs class. We give them the variables. So it translates to the constructor variables. Okay. So now we want to add that to our myCV. myCV, we have this add job method. So add job, we can see it looks like this. Add job has one argument called job, which is the my job, yeah, the instance of the job class. Okay. Let's console log myCV. See what happens. I have not added it. You see, it looks like this. Looks like the 3 arguments I gave it in the beginning. It's what the instance of the job looks like. You can see the prototype. It has the functions that we have. Add job, remove job, add education, remove education. But it didn't add it yet because I haven't implemented it. So how do we add something? We can see here that jobs is equal to this variable. And this variable is an array. How do we add something to an array? Push. So what do I write? Jobs. This. Why do I write this? So why do we write this?
It's in that scope, in that class.
The instance of the class. Yes. It refers to the instance. So that this is all of it. So now I can reference this variable that's in another function using this. Okay. Let's try it again. See, now we have jobs 1, so we have the job in here. We added it to the job set. Okay. See what the next lesson is here. I think we just need to implement all of these, right? So remove a job. Let's try to remove it again. We'll just console log myCV here, and then we will say remove job. Remove job, same thing. Some method on the class has one argument, which is job, which I pass in here. So how do we remove that? I know some of you did it.
Yeah. I did it, but I had a problem because now when I use it, it removes all the jobs.
Okay,
But
we'll talk about it.
I did this jobs equal to.
Let's take the equals afterwards. Let's try to filter. So filter, right? We have a job and we want to have the same areas, but we want to remove some of them. So we filter. So what does filter do? You give it a callback. Yes. What is the argument? Item. Yeah, we call it as this, call it item. So what does this do? If, let's say there are 5 jobs in here. How many times will this function run? 5 times. Okay, and filtering, how do we know if it should add it or not add it? We return something. What do we return? Boolean, yes, true or false. So it's true, it adds it. It's false, it doesn't add it. Okay, so this one for each job, I will iterate this. I will return item ID equal to what? This one here, right? The job that we give in as an argument. This is the one we want to remove. This jobs is all the jobs that we already added. So we filter that, check each of them and see if the ID is equal to the one we want to remove. Is this what we want to achieve? What if I ran this, if I say I want to remove job with ID 123, what would this return? So there are 5 jobs in here.
Yeah.
Would it return 4 or would it return something else?
It's just going to return everything. It's going to be the same.
This one checks, it returns true if the item we find has the same ID as the item we remove. This is not what we want to achieve. We want to do the opposite, right? We want to return the items that are not the same because we want to remove this one. So we want the 4 other ones, we don't want the one that we pass in as well. Does that make sense? Kind of? Not equal to. Now we have all the jobs except the one that has this ID that we pass in. Okay. So this jobs does not mutate the array. It means it returns a copy of the array. It's an immutable function. So how do we solve that? Let's just put it in const new array. And then we override the jobs array we already have, right? Does that make sense? Can we do it simpler? I overwrote it. I can just do it. Yeah. I can just do it directly here if I want to. They are the same. You can use either one. This is a little more, I don't know, smaller. There's no difference. Let's just do it like this because it makes everything a little more readable. So we save a new array, and then we override the jobs array afterwards. It's been a long day, I can tell. Let's try it. Jobs is still 0. It says 1 out here.
What? Can you go back? It shows 1 and 0?
Yeah, but that's immutability. Because yeah.
But I add variance of those
Let's try it again. So you have 1 first, and then we have 0. Right? Remove education, add education. It's the same, right? There's no need. Same. Same. We're not going to do that. We're running out of time. Okay. So, what else do we have to do? Render. Add a new method to the C. How many did this one? A few? No? Remember I showed you before when we did the example I made a render method? No, no one remembers. That's fine. We do it again. We make a render CV, which is some method. And we want to render, this method should render out a CV using HTML. Blah, blah, blah. We want to create element and we want to use append child. Everyone has done this before. Like I said before, best practice would be to append the child outside the class. Class can return what it's supposed to show, but not where it's supposed to show it. We'll make it reusable. If the class knows where it's supposed to be, it can only be in one place. That's not really ideal. Okay, so we create let's just create a paragraph.
I just have a question before that. So when,
Yes.
when you read that render CV,
Yes.
how do you imagine that immediately before doing it? Like, you want it inside or an ordered list and that you want inside a list or
Yeah, something like that. You'll probably make a list of jobs and a list of education. Like you will have, let's just see, do we have time? Yeah, 5 minutes.
or maybe we can do it and then I can understand.
I'll just write it in HTML. Be faster. So the way I would do it, probably, let's say this is the CV. I'll just not use the root. Remember HTML? So we will have jobs, and then we will have probably a list, unordered list. Remember the unordered list, the bullet points? So it will look like this, right? Job 1, job 2, and so on. Then we will have the other one, we make that an H2, education, same thing, right? We just use a list. Education 1, something like that. That would probably that makes sense, right? To render it as a list. I'm not going to write all these because the way I would write HTML elements, I would use that inner HTML. Remember that because it's so much easier. Writing this in like create element is just this takes a while. Okay. So we will create a paragraph. Document. Create element. P. How do you add content? Text content. Text content. Equals, and how would we do? Yeah. Let's just render a list of. Let's just say list of jobs. Want to render all the jobs. There can be more than one, right? So you can't just say equals to like this. How do we iterate an array?
For each.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that instead for each job. Then we want to add it to list of jobs. Plus equal. Then we have this job title, right? Gets a little bit abstract because you have these weird string constructs here. And we want to add, yeah, we'll just do this. It's fine. So we create a list for each job iterated. We add something to the list and we add this variable. You could also say job. And then we add that to the text. What is job 1? We only have 2 minutes left. I could build the whole thing. Okay, and then we return the paragraph, right? This will render the CV. It could be way more complex, obviously, if you wanted to render it in some beautiful way. Here we just render string, return the paragraph, and then we add it to the get element by ID, root, const root. And what do we call that? Append child? My CV. How do I call that method?
Render CD. Dot render CD.
Dot render CV. Oh, this is the one I wrote manually. That didn't work. Yeah, but I made the jobs. Let me just remove that actually completely, just to make it easy. It doesn't do anything. Let's see. Good question. Let's see. So we can inspect it, right? You realize how the console works? Inspect it. We can find the root. Let's have a look. It's here. It's blank though. So that's the P paragraph. It doesn't add the text. Why? Well, because, no, actually the answer is a little more simple because I removed it, right? So the array is empty. Let's just add it again. We just add it again. Try it again. There we go. We've had two. We will just put them on the same line.
This is also like a very classical case of a method that fits well inside the class. So you usually want to say, here's a bunch of things, group them together, and now I want to see the final result. So this render CV is that. It says, hey, how do you show me the whole thing? And there are many ways to do that, of course, but usually your class will have at least one method that does that kind of thing.
Once you get to React, it's called render. And you will see that everywhere.
Everywhere. Exactly.
But it's not written like this. This part here will get a lot easier.
Yeah, you shouldn't really have to be like putting those strings together with concatenation. That's painful. But, for now, that's what you do.
Okay, out of time. Any questions? I know this is going fast. You just have to practice and practice. It's the only way to remember. No?
I'm just so happy you recorded that. That is